Hello, Anthem fans, and welcome to Freelancer Radio, your home for all things Anthem. This is episode number 27. Shhhh. I'm your host, Goose, and now we'll check in with the rest of the crew. We have Justin. We also have Marlon.
Buffalo. Okay.
We have the quiet man, Andrew. And for the first time, we have a very important member of our clan, of our group, of our family. You guys have heard about him before. We have our man, Lee.
What's up, guys?
There it is. All right, so to kick it off, we haven't had an episode in a very long time. It's been a long time since we've had a Freelancer Radio episode recorded, and it's going to air this week. And we're genuinely sorry about that. But we're gonna put on the best final Freelancer Radio episode that we can. We're gonna give a quick recap on Anthem and Cataclysm. We're gonna share our own personal thoughts on the current state of Anthem and the future of it. And then we're gonna get a little personal and be transparent with our faithful listeners, which aren't much, but we are very grateful and thankful for the folks who did tune in every single week. And we're gonna give our reasons as to why we're winding this show down, and then we're gonna talk about what's next for us and an announcement of a new show. But to kick it all off, did anybody play Cataclysm?
Yeah.
There you go.
I did, but short-lived, very short-lived.
I wouldn't even call that short-lived. It's. I'm not disappointed in what the Cataclysm did. I'm disappointed of what it could have been. You know, I understand that, BioWare at the end of the day was just saying, listen, we're gonna make this content where people can come back and enjoy it. Something like what Capcom and Monster Hunter tried to do, like with something that Bungie tried to do, and Activision to a certain degree has tried and done before. But in my opinion, Anthem just did not cut it. The content was, for me particularly, was very, very slowly trickled down. And when we finally arrived, it was just more of the same without any substance to it. I understand that they tried to do a little bit better by trying to add more items into the game, but for me personally, it was just a little bit too late. The Cataclysm, while fun at times, became redundant after going back and doing the missions over and over again. And there was, for me, at some point, there was no reason for me to go back and play it again. There were better games by this point. So I liked it, but again, short-lived and just overall disappointed in the whole thing. My thoughts on it, I don't know what you guys are going to think about, so I'll leave the floor for you guys.
So I'm going to be honest with the listeners. One of the statements that I made on a prior Freelancer Radio episode was that I was going to play the Cataclysm. I emphatically said it. I said, I'm going to play Cataclysm. And I think Marlon actually was the one who called me on, and he said, no, you're not. And Marlon was right. Marlon was right, because I never touched it. I never played it. I had no interest. So I really can't speak to my experience with it because there was none. I think BioWare was brave for trying to put out that content. I think the delivery was wrong. It was a trickled out event. Clearly, they didn't have enough content, and they just decided to stretch it out over the course of 8 weeks. I wasn't a big fan of it being a timed event. They spent time crafting an entirely new area within which to have activities in, and they timed you, right? So that meant that you really couldn't explore the region. You really couldn't take your time and soak in that content because you were always being timed and trying to get a perfect score or try to get a good enough score for loot. And that really always put me off. That particular aspect of the Cataclysm event always put me off. The fact that it was timed. I'm like, no, I just want to, don't tell me what to do when I'm playing the game. I just want to enjoy it and have fun for what it is. But that's really my extent of it. I know that by reading many of the like sort of postmortems or people looking back, it wasn't worth the wait. The consensus from the community was that it was not worth the wait. You know, it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. I say we, but I think the majority of the community put stock into this content thinking that it was going to save Anthem, and then we all realized that it wasn't going to save Anthem. But those are generally my thoughts on the Cataclysm as a whole.
I'm not sure who. I guess some people may have thought it was going to save Anthem, but I knew from the door it wasn't going to save that game. I mean, there was too many issues still. They're still lingering even to this day, and this was never supposed to be a saving grace for a game. It was maybe supposed to be like it has potential again type thing, but it was never meant to save the game. I think some of the missions leading into the Cataclysm were better than the Cataclysm, in my opinion, to be honest. Like, I had more fun doing some of those than the actual Cataclysm. But even those missions, though, they still brought up some of the old issues that everybody kept bringing up, like load screens and stuff like that, for example. And it's like they didn't 100% learn from all their lessons yet, even making these new missions. And
Andrew, you brought a good point by saying like there were some of the missions that that were more fun before the Cataclysm than the actual Cataclysm, and you actually brought up a really great point when you were talking about that this just didn't feel like it was gonna be saving the game right from the get-go, because it were making such much hype for the Cataclysm, but when the community asked BioWare, okay, what's next after the Cataclysm? BioWare kept a really tight lip on that. They didn't want to discuss anything beyond the Cataclysm. And now we know that they
can't, though. They can't, because it's not in a state where they can deliver on anything right now. The roadmap is non-existent.
It's gone. They literally just like throw it down the bus. They say we're done.
I don't even believe they're even putting up any updates with it anymore. I mean, there's no feedback from the developers or their social, their public people, whatever. They're barely putting anything out there.
It was so bad. It was so bad during the Cataclysm that the lead producer Ben Irving even jumped ship. He didn't even stay. He dipped out on them as well. Like he
wanted to dance with Justin again.
Yes, that's right. He wanted to. He was that. That's why he put in his weeks, and he's like, I'm leaving. I need to go find this man. I need to go dance with him one more time. I'm gonna find him on the street, and we're gonna dance together.
All right. Basically, I'm gonna push back on that because Chad Robertson, the developer, did say that they were going to be abandoning the multi-part acts that in favor of seasonal updates.
So, yeah.
Whatever that means, well, that's up to them. But what I'm saying is that they had to put out a couple of updates, quote unquote, even though I just basically say like that's just BS.
I'm going to butt in here, but I'm actually glad you mentioned that because, so two things. The person that Marlon is referring to is Chad Robertson. He's the head of live service. And I'm going to get to not the final blog post, but the last blog post that he put up on September 17th. I'm going to read that. But one of the things that Marlon mentioned, which is very important, was, hey, we're going to change our roadmap, which was a very clear and defined roadmap that us here on the show had read aloud plenty of times to use as a guide as to what to expect. And they said, hey, we're going to renege on this, right? This, which we said was coming. It was a roadmap with titles of expansions. It had names, right? So they're going to scrap all this, which clearly they could not deliver, right? For seasonal updates. And we all know that the issue is they scrapped it because, one, they can't deliver, and they need to work on the core gameplay of the game itself. But moving on, not from the topic, but I just want to read quickly what Chad Robertson wrote on September 17th. Hello, freelancers. We're nearing the end of the Cataclysm, so I wanted to talk about what's coming for Anthem. First, I'm proud of our team for creating a fun new experience for our players. It represents the largest post-launch update that we've delivered so far. We were humbly excited by the increase in player engagement we've seen with the Cataclysm. The team and I appreciate the response and support. It is what keeps us motivated to continue to improve Anthem. Those of you in our player community that played in our public test server gave us valuable feedback from your play that we use to influence our changes to the game. PTS is an invaluable tool is an invaluable tool we will leverage for future updates with Anthem. Some of the changes made to the Cataclysm based on your input were, and he gives a whole range of them, which I'm not going to go through because they're not really important. But the final thing that he wrote, which I thought was, so what's next for Anthem? We hear your concerns on core issues in Anthem and are acting on it. Those systems require a more thorough review and reworking versus quick fixes. We've got a team working on that now, and early results are promising. I want to break that down. That means that they're not going to have anything for the next couple of months, probably for the next year. I mean, think about it. We hear your concerns on core issues. Those systems require a more thorough review. Right there. That's when I read that, I'm like, that's a problem. They're going to give it the No Man's Sky treatment. I'll continue with the article. In order to address these long-range plans, we are moving away from the act structure for updates. Instead, we have additional seasonal updates planned for this year that we think players will enjoy. These events will deliver challenges and chases similar to what you've seen and are built around some fun themes we're bringing to the game. Most important, at least thus far, these events will deliver challenges and chases similar to what you've seen. So nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. As I've said previously, we want to be transparent with you that we know more work needs to be done to make Anthem better. We also want to ensure we're backing up our words with a great game you can play. So I don't have any news today to share about the long-term changes we are bringing to Anthem. What I can say is that we will continue to engage with you, our community, through PTS, where we can show you what is coming. Stronger together. And he signs off, Chad, head of life service. So that to me just says, hey, listen, we're going back to the drawing board. We're going to deconstruct this game. I'm not saying they said that. I'm not saying he said that. This is my interpretation. We're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to rework the core of this game. And when we're ready to show you something, which isn't anytime soon, we'll show you what we got cooking. This game, I don't want to say it's dead, but it's not in a good state.
Yeah,
it's selling for $10. Like Justin mentioned so badly.
Man.
Yeah, it's in a bad state. I mean, I think they just put out a thing not too long ago that I think it's still one of the best-selling games of this year. But it's it is.
Justin, it is.
Yeah, I can't see Justin's face right now, but he's making a stink face right now.
He made the best face. The black eye with the question marks popping all over. That meme, that gif. That's what he just did. That's what he just did.
like wait, excuse me, wait, what?
Not just one of the best-selling games, the 5th best-selling game of 2019 so far. And I mean, BioWare did say go to say or not. I'm sorry, not BioWare. EA. As long as this game is still making money, then they will support the game. So I mean, hopefully there's long-term hope for the game. But
hopefully, when Pokemon arrives, it will go down to the 7th most sold game, and then when a couple more of the other games come out,
you still have the rest of the holiday season, of course, but still, all year long, there's been several other big game releases. Like it's ahead of games like Resident Evil 2 and what was the other one? I read.
What else? Yeah, I'm thinking like what game sold crazy this year.
I think the only reason why that game is so high up on the selling list was mostly because of the big hype before it came out. I mean, I was excited when it was coming out, and I thought, hey, look, this is going to be something to replace Destiny and all that. And to tell you the truth, it just let me down with the gameplay.
He said the magic word. He said it's going to replace
Destiny. I enjoyed the flying and all that, but it was lacking something for me to continue playing. You know, I quit playing after about a month, and I just couldn't get into it. It was lacking something that I just didn't care for. So
yeah, it lacked the
loop, the gameplay, the fun gameplay.
The hamster wheel.
Wasn't fun enough, pretty much. That's essentially what it is. Some people enjoyed it like crazy, and that's why they played it for months on end. But majority of people didn't enjoy that loop enough to stick with the game.
Yeah, I think Lee nailed it. I mean, it had incredible hype. I mean, I was very hyped for it myself. He brought like Justin mentioned, the magic word is destiny, and I mean, shortly before the game came out, I thought it was going to be not a Destiny killer, but something that me and my friends could play and be like, all right, this is a Destiny substitute or Destiny not light, like. And it wasn't neither. I mean, it fell short. It fell short. Like right before it launched, it kind of hit me. I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to be it. This isn't going to be what I expect from a games as a service. The core gameplay loop, although it was fun in terms of the shooting and the flying, the loot chase just wasn't there. And we're just rehashing old stuff. But I'm gonna move us on a little bit because I want to be transparent with the listeners, because we were putting out a show every week, and there was passion, and we all did our homework, and we all did our research, and we all came ready to record every week. But I mean, and the listeners could probably tell, because listeners know, right? Listeners aren't stupid. They're pretty smart. Barely, almost none of us were playing the game. I mean, it was just a drag. I mean, I can't speak for the rest of the fellas, but I can speak for myself, with the exception of KJ, who played the game religiously. I mean, he really was the standard bearer. He really was the one who was pushing this game forward within us, because he played it every single night. I mean, you can't take that away from the guy. He played it every single night. When he got on the show, when he hosted it, he knew what he was talking about, because he was coming at it from a primary experience. But me, and I can't speak for the guys, but they fall under this banner, we just weren't playing it. We were playing other stuff. We didn't feel like talking about it. It wasn't fun. It was a drag. We're like, we would question each other. We're like, we're doing this show, but, are we really the best ones to give information on it, because we're just not playing it? It didn't feel right. So eventually that's what sort of led us to not do the show and sort of pull back and step back and say, well, what's next? What are we planning on? Right? But before we get into that, because I sort of jumped the shark a little bit, I want to get everybody's thoughts on Anthem thus far, and what the future holds, not for Anthem, but for you with Anthem. And I'll kick it off to Justin. Like, these first 10 months, 8 months when the game came out, like, so far, what do you think of the Anthem journey?
It was a very, very long, difficult struggle.
A drag?
Yes.
Do you see yourself ever coming back to it whenever they do implement these changes, if at all?
No. Like, right. I've said it before on a previous podcast. They would have to come out with an Anthem 2 to redeem themselves, and even at that, I'm still afraid to even pay a good amount of money for the next Anthem game. This is and again, like I said, my previous podcast, this is my second BioWare game, and it is also a disappointment from my first BioWare game. The first BioWare game being Mass Effect Andromeda.
He got screwed, man.
I feel the rebuttal coming from the quiet man.
Yes.
You played the worst two games in their
and it's all I needed.
In their entire history. You played the worst two games that BioWare has put out in the entirety of their existence, and you coming on the last. It's like me. Oh my God! It's like a Marlins fan basically saying, "Oh man, they won 2 great championships. Let me be a fan of them," and then you see mediocrity for the next 10 freaking years. You're like, no, brother. Like you, BioWare is a great developer, and they have made amazing games. I am sorry that you didn't get to experience those when they first came out, and I am sorry that you got to enjoy the crappier versions of these 2 games that BioWare has put out. But they have great quality there. And maybe the next game that they put out will be the one to do it. You know what they say, third time is the charm. So, I wouldn't say just give up on the developers just yet. Just saying, keep an open mind.
Disappoint me once, shame on me. Disappoint me twice, shame on them.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, he's not wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
To be
He's
fair
not
to Andrew, Andrew's right, and Marlon are both right. He did play probably two of the worst BioWare games that have come out as
I
of
mean,
late.
let's look at it this way. These are supposed to be the games of this generation, is it not? I mean, come on, like
I
you
wouldn't
gen-
say- I
look,
wouldn't.
look at
I
it this way.
wouldn't say.
You have the fantastic, support of the PS4 and the Xbox One X, pushing these 4K resolutions at 60 frames with,
Man, you don't need the latest
10. Let
technology
me
to
tell
play a
you
good
right
game,
now.
man. I mean,
that
just for example, Goose
there
went
was
back
no
and
story
played
there.
Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 after based off of my recommendation, and he loved them games because they're all good games, regardless of what console you play them on or the latest, greatest, whatever.
I'll
It's
give
a good.
you
They're
one.
good games. Same
I'll
thing
give
with
you
Mass
one.
Effect 1, 2, and 3, the Old Republic. Like they got a good Dragon Age Origins and 2 and Inquisition. They're all good, great games, and depending on
Here,
who you
I'll
ask.
give you one.
But
I'll give you one. Super Mario Brothers came out in 1983, 1985 here in the States, and yet people still love that game. People still enjoy it, and still people have fun with it.
Still has a better story than Anthem
Oh my god.
and Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh Lord, this guy just killed. But what I'm saying is like graphical fidelity does not make a game great or the game of that generation. It is everything around the game that makes it the game of generation. We know for a fact that Destiny is the game of the generation when it comes to PS3 and PS4. We know that there was a before and there was an after before Destiny. Final Fantasy VII might be that for RPGs next year. We don't know, but just because you had
You
the
surely
bad-
wanted to.
yeah,
it's
yeah, but-
almost like someone who jumped in like the Fallout 76 or something. And
I
like,
know, right?
All Bethesda games suck or something like that. Like,
That's good.
no
That's a good
way,
one.
man. They make amazing games.
That's good.
Like-
They made the same game like for every possible console out there. Skyrim.
Yeah, Skyrim. There's a game for everything. There's for a toaster. There's a Skyrim version.
Let me tell you my safe zone. Let me tell you my safe zone.
It starts with
Bungie.
a T and it ends with a Y. There you go.
That's
That's his entirety of his
it's-
gaming world.
It's Bungie. All right. I went in with Halo. Yes, I'm talking about Halo with Bungie. Yes, Bungie. Halo 2, 3, 4, 5 was terrible, but they weren't with Bungie.
The multiplayer was solid though. The multiplayer was solid.
No, let's not even go about the multiplayer. We're talking about story-wise here. We're talking about story and a single-player campaign, which,
Talking about 2 sucked, man. Like the ending of 2
anyways,
horrible.
The ending
Destiny.
of 2 was horrible. The end of 2 was horrible.
Destiny was fantastic.
But wait a minute. I mean,
Destiny wasn't without its flaws either.
yeah,
I mean,
let's not get carried
yeah.
away here. We're looking at it with
Destiny 2
rose-tinted
sucked.
glasses. Destiny 2 sucked at the beginning. Destiny 1, although we were addicted to it, just because we didn't know any better, right? I mean, I just want to go back to year 1. The people who got all the exotics and who went through and grinded to rank them up, to level them up, were the ones who got penalized the most when the Dark Below came out, because you had to do it all over again.
Yeah.
Right? You had to, so let's not get carried away here. Destiny 2 wasn't a perfect hit out of the gate as well.
I'll
But
see you in the parking lot.
And I agree with Andrew. I agree with Andrew where, you mentioned graphics and you guys know me. I'm always talking about graphics. Over at the AG show, you guys know I'm always talking about 4K and 60 frames and best possible image quality on the consoles, right? But Andrew and Marlon are absolutely right. Those things are secondary. It is a visual medium. You want the games to look pretty, but that's a secondary thing. Gameplay, as Colin Moriarty says, and Colin's always right, gameplay is king. Gameplay is king.
Like, for example, Gustavo was telling me about my friend Jeff, and Dalton. They had issues with control, but the game, they got hooked on it. They enjoyed the gameplay because the game, it had flaws in it. It had something in it that they made it wanted to come back, and that's the problem that I had with Anthem. It was the fact that it doesn't matter how pretty the graphics were or how innovating the ability of being flying around the map was. If the core gameplay wasn't satisfying enough for me to go back and play it every single night, I wasn't going to do it. there was no for me like, and this is the thing that and I'll tell you, there was only one game that pulled me away from Destiny. Okay, and Gustavo will vouch for me, and it did it both times. And it did it both times. When Monster Hunter World came out, I was done playing Destiny. I did not touch it for about 2 months. I clocked 450 hours on Monster Hunter World, and I had a blast because it was just something about the gameplay that, even though you guys didn't like it, I know Justin didn't like it. I know Andrew didn't like it. I know Lee didn't like it. But for me, I went back and played it and enjoyed it. It wasn't, and I know for a fact that this game is not meant for everybody. I know that for a fact. So I always keep that open mind when it comes to Anthem and when it comes to video games, because just because I didn't like it and I didn't have fun with it, I know somebody else has. Now, having said that, because we're getting a little bit off topic here from the question that you were asking, what do I see myself going back and playing Anthem? Basically, what I see myself is they have to do a complete overhaul of the game. They have to pull a Square Enix type deal like they did with Final Fantasy XIV around Reborn. Basically, keep the same core gameplay, just expand upon it, make it better, make the store more enjoyable to use, make it so that our progress, is viable, and that we don't have to spend hours and hours and hours just to get a measly, piece of I don't know, like a vinyl or something like that. Respect the player's time, and there's a couple of games that have done it, and they have respected the player's time, which is enjoy the game, get rewarded for it, and just make great memories along the way with people playing the same game. That is the only way that I can see myself going back to playing Anthem. If they don't do that, then I'll be very, very apprehensive about Anthem 2, because I spent $100 on this game, and I feel like maybe I got $10 worth out of it. Like it's going now. Going on right now. And look at it, Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I went for the regular edition, and I have clocked 153 hours.
On Iceborne alone?
On just Iceborne alone.
Wow, how much in total?
Right now I'm at 652 hours, something like that.
That's impressive.
So, and this is a guy that's been addicted to Destiny since day one. So that tells you something about it.
I mean, just look at that mad face. Did you see him? He looked like a madman.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is like, BioWare has to step up their game. They have to bring back the old BioWare of old for me to give them a chance. Otherwise, I just can't do it. I don't have enough time in the day, enough hours in a week to be spending money on a game that I'm not going to enjoy or I'm not going to play with. I have become more selective about the games that I play, and I have become more selective about whose developer I give my time to, because they have to respect the player. They can't be just talking out of their butts every single time they come out with something that the players didn't like. It says, "Oh, we're fixing it. Don't worry, we're fixing it." No, you have to show for it. You have to prove the player that you are willing to change. You are willing to make it better. Because at the end of the day, it's not like in the 80s or 90s where one developer could make a mistake and there wasn't that many games to play with. Now there's a lot more to choose from, whether it's on Steam, whether it's on PC, whether it's on Xbox or PS4, you got more to choose from, and developers don't have the upper hand anymore. The players do. So that's my thought.
I'm actually gonna turn it over to Lee actually before I turn it over to Andrew. Lee, I know that you haven't. You didn't spend much time playing the game and you checked out pretty early because it just didn't hold your attention. But if they were able to fix some of the issues, do you ever see yourself going back in the future?
To Anthem 1, no. Now, if they come out with another one that has fixed most of the issues and I see a lot of my friends playing it, then I would consider about coming back. But other than that, I did not enjoy the game enough to even go back and play the expansion or whatever it was. And I don't plan on going back. I mean, it had to be a bunch of y'all that would have to get me to come back for me to actually play it again. I mean, I wouldn't go out and buy Anthem 2, even if they say everything's fixed and all that. I still wouldn't buy it unless I had friends go in there, play it, and say, hey, it is a good game, and then I would come back. But they have really made me think about why I would like to play that game anyway. Because, I mean, it was a big disappointment to me. So,
yeah. I mean, it makes sense because think about it. Anthem is a game that you really have to play with your friends with. You know, the matchmaking in that game, I don't trust it when it comes to any type of high level.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust it because look what happens to you with Gears 5. You know, you've been struggling with that matchmaking, and you've seen at first hand how annoying it can be when you don't have people on the same wavelength as you trying to do the same mission correctly. You've seen it firsthand. So now imagine fighting not only that type of matchmaking system, but also the game and the core gameplay of it. You know.
So a mini tangent. I promise I won't talk Gears, but I will. And then I'm gonna collect Andrew's final thoughts on
the next show. We'll talk about Gears.
yeah, we will for sure. Gears will be a topic. But over on the AG Discord, I was talking to Marlon, and I said that I was always one of these guys who was anti matchmaking on Destiny, and then I sort of came around and said, you know what, they should just give him an option. But now playing Gears 5, I've been playing Gears 5 maybe for the past, 3 weeks maybe with Lee. We've been playing almost every weekend, breaking nights, just playing Horde on Master, just trying to master these maps.
You're sick, man.
It is. I am a sick man. I haven't played games like this since March of this year. I mean, they got me by the balls. And I can't speak for him, but I think I can. We've been having a blast, man. We have been having so much fun playing this game. But the matchmaking is just such a pain. There's absolutely no reason at all to go into a match-made Horde match. There's no communication. No one wants to join a party. People do join a party. They don't want to speak. It's like they got something down their throats that doesn't stop them from speaking. I don't know what it is. People don't want to run certain builds. The people who do use certain characters, they don't know how to use their characters to the best of their ability, right? And that sort of happened with Anthem. I can see that being an issue with Anthem. That the folks over at Bungie said no. They stuck their foot on the ground. They planted that flag, and they said we're not gonna have matchmaking for the raid. The raid is our pinnacle activity. It's what defines the game, and we're gonna protect the integrity of that experience. Because if we do matchmaking and people start complaining about it, it's gonna detract from that experience. And instead of focusing on the core gameplay and whatever bugs they may or may not have, the issue, the thing people are going to be talking about online, and it's going to spread like wildfire, is the matchmaking. And our pinnacle experience will be known for having horrible people playing it and not playing together or not playing the way they had to, or quitting in the middle of a raid, which has happened to us. We've had people quit. There was a run that we did. I think it was on Master, on Exhibit. I think it was our first one. I forgot which map, you'll have to let me know. I forgot. It was one of the first times we finished Master. And we had people leave like in wave 40. We had people leave in wave 43. We have somebody, I think the first person left in wave 39 or 38, who was our Jack. He fell asleep, right? And it was like a pack. It was our guy, Rock Your Socks over at Xbox Live, Rocky, big shout out to him. One of the best jackpots that I've ever played with. He fell asleep. I mean, it was like 2 a.m. He was out cold. He fell asleep at wave 38. And we went 39, 40, and 41 with the AI, right? Until we got another Jack. And then we lost a Jack that next wave, and then we got another one. And I'm like, we got through it, but it was like barely. It was barely.
So like just
that's
to bring
because
it back,
Bill was always.
But just to bring it back to Anthem real quick. It's just Anthem, like those levels, those gameplay design. It was only meant to last for like 5 to 10 minutes. You're playing a horde in a raid. That's like a beyond an hour of play time right there. So Anthem had something going for them, because those missions only last 10 minutes at most. At the most, those missions only last 10 minutes. Yeah.
At the most.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no what is it called? There's no what is that thing on Destiny to go look for people? Oh my god.
Looking for game.
Yeah, you know what? What does anybody ever do that in Anthem? I mean, I thought I was gonna be doing that for the Cataclysm. Oh, who wants to run the Cataclysm? Nobody. It was just all matchmaking.
Crickets again. It's like the quiet man was talking.
Oh.
I'll tell you something that for me was the thing that just really annoyed me was the fact that I understand, like, and this one thing that I love about Monster Hunter is that it fixes your difficulty level depending on how many players are in an instance. So, for example, if you're playing solo, the enemies are going to be scaled to a certain level. If you get 2 people, 3, 4, they're going to be scaled up higher. It's going to be a much more difficult experience. The problem with Anthem is that the difficulty on trying to play a solo on hard, when some missions where, okay, we can do this, it's feasible as possible, you can do it. In other ones, it was nearly impossible to try to finish the mission just by yourself. And the game was keep getting matchmaking and trying to matchmake with somebody, and it never did. So my problem with matchmaking in Anthem was the fact that if you wanted to play solo, while you could, it felt like most of the missions were intended for 4 players.
I mean, it was, man, but there's so many bugs in that game, though, man. Like, certain stats are not registering right. Health isn't as high as it's supposed to be. Yeah, certain enemy one hit killing people regardless of what level they were and stuff like that. It was riddled with bugs, though. I mean, so
I know when I was
even if you wanted to play by yourself or with a team, you could still be struggling. I remember Justin and I were stuck on one mission right at a Colossus. I was defending a Strider, and you would spawn dead pretty much because the guy would hit you immediately. And Justin and I sat on that mission for probably like 20 minutes just trying to kill one Titan because it was too OP. I mean, the game, it was just bugged. I mean,
so let me ask you then, Andrew, your thoughts on Anthem. Do you see yourself going back? Anthem. Yeah.
I would say
I love that one. I love that.
I would say my answer is a kind of a combination of just y'all's answers, to be honest. If Anthem 1 fixes itself towards the end of its life and puts itself in a good state to where Anthem 2 could be released in a good state, then I would possibly look into it again. But they have a long way to prove that point. I'm kind of comparing similar to like Division.
Yeah.
Division at the beginning was terrible for me. At the end of Division 1, it supposedly got really a lot better. I still didn't go back to it, though. I just took people's word for it. And Division 2 came out, and I seen a lot of you guys go back to it and whatnot, and then a lot of you guys got it, but got part 2, but I was still not 100% convinced because of my experience in Division
Makes
1.
sense.
So I feel like my experience for Anthem is going to be almost identical to this. If part 2 comes out, and they've done stuff to fix themselves and get to I guess a good game state, then I will review it at the time and decide then. But I mean, kind of going back to what you were saying earlier about respecting players' times and stuff like that too. It just, I feel like some things were respectful to your time because like Justin said, a lot of missions were really short. But the rewards in the game, the loot, which is the big part of this game, is a looter shooter. The loot wasn't worth it for me, and that's a big crippling part of the game. I mean, where Destiny, though, if you did jump into a raid for 2 hours or 3 hours, however long it took you to do it, if you did get an exotic from that, most likely that exotic was worth that time, like the Vex or a Gallahorn or whatever. But if you didn't get rewarded, you likely got a raid specific weapon or something that could have made it worth your time. Where in Anthem, you could do a stronghold or something and spend a ton of time in it and still not get anything, or get a bad roll. And it's just like, that was just completely a waste of my time.
Yeah, or to add to that, even if you didn't get what you wanted on Destiny, if you didn't get the exotic you wanted, or if you got a duplicate of a piece of raid armor that you already had, the loot table was big enough for you to be like, you know what, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to chase other loot, because, again, the loot table was big enough and wide enough that it had enough options.
You could also break it down into material to upgrade some of your other your equipment that you did like. Where here, the upgrading system in Anthem is non-existent, and the crafting in Anthem is not fun or rewarding either. So there's a lot of room for Anthem to improve on. I would definitely look forward to seeing how it is in this end life. But as of right now, it's gonna sit on my library for the time being until.
I'll give my final thoughts on it in terms of, you know, the journey I had with it and what I hope for it in the future. Personally, my journey with it ended relatively quickly. I played it, I had my fun. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be with my friends. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be solo. I checked out almost immediately. The Cataclysm came, I looked at it, didn't play it. Just to be clear to the listeners, and none of us here are rooting against this game. We're all rooting it for it to be successful. In terms of the future, what the future holds for it, I have no idea. Why are you guys laughing? Is it my voice again?
No, it's like when you said that we're not rooting for the game too. Like Lee's like, no, I am rooting for it.
I missed it.
It's like, no, well, I'm not.
Four of us are not rooting for the game to fail. I'm sorry, listeners. We're doing a video conference here, and these guys are just laughing. I'm like, what's going on? It's my voice again. Do I sound like a robot? But yeah, like, I don't think there's gonna be a Destiny 2. I think it's just too much of an investment. Another
Destiny
thing too.
2. Anthem 2.
Sorry, Anthem 2. Sorry, listeners. Sorry. I wish there wasn't a Destiny 2. I don't think.
How dare you?
Wait, there was a Destiny 2.
Unfortunately. I don't think there's going to be an Anthem 2. I just think at the time that this game came out towards the end of the generation, and for them to, you know, these long-term changes that they're talking about, right? I'm expecting something to come out maybe the middle of next year. I think maybe with backwards compatibility being a thing, hopefully in these next generation consoles, they'll get it to run there on those consoles, and they'll just build from the platform that they started. But we'll see where it goes. I really hope that it has a No Man's Sky-like journey. Like, No Man's Sky came out, and it definitely wasn't what we wanted. It definitely wasn't what we expected it to be. But to be fair to Hello Games and Sean Murray and his team over there, they put their heads down and they worked their tails off. And update after update, right? Small update, big update, they got it. They No Man's Sky is the game that we were promised at launch. It is that now. Have I gone back to it? No. Right? First impressions are a big thing. Am I ever going to go back to it? I don't think so. Probably not. If I had the time, I wish I could go back to it and experience it. But I hope that's not the story for Anthem. I hope that they can fix it. I hope that they can deliver what they promised at launch. And I hope that people are waiting for it when it does hopefully get to that state and just ready to play. Will Freelancer Radio, will we be there? I think I can answer that definitively. We don't know. We don't know. That leads to the second part of the show, where we're going to be fully honest with our listeners. And again, all of us here are thankful. You know, we weren't getting millions of listeners, but for a small upstart like us, we're very grateful for the listeners that we had. We had people all over the world, and we had people in Australia, we had people in Austria, Rhode Island. We had people here in the United States. The United States is our biggest supporters. And we're thankful. We're thankful to everybody who listens to our show every week. But we just want to be... First, I want to apologize to every listener who ever downloaded or streamed our show. The ending of our last show was rather abruptly. We didn't give a reason as to why we were ending, right? And I've been listening to podcasts since I was a teenager, right? I'm used to... I've got a rotation of people that I listen to every single week,
Loser.
Right?
No, I'm just kidding.
Nerd, you nerd. and if those shows aren't up, I'm like, what's going on? It's like a part of me is missing, especially some shows, right, that I'm just used to listening to since I was like 15, 16 years old, or certain people, certain voices that I'm used to having in my head every week.
Yeah.
And I just want to apologize to everybody, right? We going forward, right? We got to be more consistent, and with whatever other show we put out, and we will be putting out another show. We're going to give out more details on when that's coming and what it's going to be. I think I can share a little bit, but I just wanted to turn it over to you fellas. And what do you guys think about what we did here for the past 6 months? I think we did a pretty good job. I think it's something to be proud of.
I'm gonna create a sticker that says Ronaldo Machaco approves.
There you go.
With like a sparkle in my teeth and like the thumbs up and like
yeah, with the Joe Camel look.
Yeah.
Joe Camel look. Oh Lord. That's a good one. I like that. I would like to have a patch like that. My thoughts on basically Freelancer Radio. I love making podcasts with my friends, because I know that our schedules have changed. I know that we no longer play as much as we used to, at least all of us together in the same room, So for me, doing the show every week, whether, it was listening to Justin's, Ronaldo Machaco, issues and stuff like that, or listening to the Quiet Man's, crickets. It always felt like I was just having a blast with my friends, And I think at the end of the day, that's what I was enjoying the podcast. I was rushing to get here, and we all know that this was a Herculean task for a lot of us. Our schedules where sometimes, our jobs would end like around, 7:45, or 8 o'clock at night. And we'll be rushing to get here and make it on time so we could do the podcast and record it. And seeing that struggle, seeing that effort, seeing everybody trying to make something out of this, when we know that, at times we were not having fun or enjoying the game, but at least we were trying to get content out for the viewers and to the listeners out there. That for me, I'll take that with just a wonderful experience. And whether what show we do next, I don't mind, because I'll be doing it with my friends, and we'll have a blast with other things to talk about. So I don't regret doing Freelancer Radio, just like I don't regret doing the AEG show, or just like doing any podcast that I will do from now on, because I know that at the end of the day, these are my homies, and we'll have a good time doing it. Having said that, I'm gonna give it to Andrew and let us know how you feel about this entire 27 weeks that we've been doing this, and if you had any like lingering thoughts about it, or something that you want to get off your chest now.
I don't know, nothing. I mean, where my cricket soundboard at? No, I've enjoyed my time here. I mean, I probably wasn't vocal about everything, but for the most part, I feel like you guys definitely covered my thoughts. That's why most likely I didn't say anything. But I mean, yeah, I enjoyed every minute of this, and I definitely look forward to podcasting with you guys more on another show. We'll discuss a little bit, but yeah, I don't really got much else to add.
I'll chime in here with my thoughts on the show in terms of I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of things behind the scenes I think that Marlon alluded to, with schedule and timing and editing and just different responsibilities that it takes to put out a show, to produce a show, right? And it wasn't by any means a great production, right? But it was still, I think, what I like to think, a respectable one that we're all very proud of. But one of the things that I want to get back to, and I'm gonna quote Lee here a long time ago, maybe like a year or 2 years since we had met each other online. There was one thing that I said something about, oh, you guys are my online friends, and Lee didn't like that. he said, what do you mean online friends? We're your friends. At least that's the way I look at it. You're my friend. I don't tell him, oh, this is Gus, my online friend. And I thought about that, and I said, you know what? He's right. These guys are my friends. I spend more time with them, not including people at work, right? Unfortunately, I got to spend more time with them than anybody because I got to make that dough. But not including the folks at work, I spend, or used to spend, sorry about that, there's a stupid truck. Sorry, guys, this is what happens in the Empire State. You got trucks, right? You got stupid trucks driving, making noise. But
truck.
But man, I lost my train of thought.
No trucks make more noise than the New York trucks. Never. The best trucks ever. You were talking about like basically like Lee saying that we're your online friends as opposed to actual friends.
Yes. And I thought about that, and I said I spend more time with these guys, and I play more games with these guys than I do with anybody, right? I confide in these guys, I trust these guys. We gossip, we shoot the whatever it is that we shoot, and we all get along. We've traveled together, right? We've broke bread with each other. We've gotten drunk with each other. We've thrown up next to each other, right? We've done it all, kind of, right?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What are you doing?
Wait! I haven't let everything out the bag, and I won't. Not for somebody's sake, right?
It's like, oh god, dude, man. There's so many stories that I would love to talk about, like just from that little instance alone, man. Like, oh god. But
putting out this show, I wouldn't say it created a beef. Beef is a wrong word, but it did create a little bit of tension, at least with me. And going to this new show, and I want to thank two people in particular, right? And me, by not mentioning Marlon or Lee doesn't mean that it's a slight against them, but it's in particular I want to thank Andrew and Justin, because after Freelancer Radio ended, I did want to put something out, but I'll just say it, I was just too chicken-ass to do it. I was like, I don't know what to do, right? But I was surprised at them, because Andrew in particular was like, yeah, dude, when are we going to put a next show out? What's next? And I was so surprised. And then Justin, a couple days later, independent of Andrew, told me the same thing. And I was so surprised that out of everybody, those two guys wanted to continue. Because personally, I thought that they were the ones who did not want to do the show. I'm like, they're just tired. They're like, I got work, I got school, I got responsibilities. This is just a hassle. And they proved me wrong. They enjoyed doing it. They had fun. They wanted to do it again. And I was like, man, I can't say no. Who the hell am I to say no? We're gonna get the show on the road, whether everybody's in or not. The majority of folks are in, and I'm thankful for that. And we're gonna get the show on the road, and we're gonna get it started. We aim to have a show out before the end of the month. I don't want to call it out for what it is. But one of the things that Andrew said, and I really enjoyed, was, and we don't play as much anymore just because we play different games. Our schedules are different. I mainly have stopped playing Destiny. Lee has stopped playing Destiny. Andrew has stopped playing Destiny. We have moved on to bigger and better things, Justin and Marlon, right? You should join us at some point. But one of the things Andrew said, hey, listen, dude, one of the cool things about us is when we're at a party, things are just funny. We talk, we have fun. And with this new show, obviously, it's going to be more coordinated than just being in a party chat. And this format, which we're going to use, and I'm going to say right now, is not new by any means, right? It's been done before. It's been done by folks, right? By trader Greg Miller, right? He's doing this format, which he stole from hero Colin Moriarty, right? It was Colin's idea, and I'm going to steal Colin's idea, and it's going to be a show where we're going to have 4, sometimes 5 best friends. No, I'm kidding. We're going to have 4 folks, sometimes 5. And we're going to bring a topic to the table, and we're going to hammer it out. 20 minutes. We're going to talk about that topic. We're going to have guests on. We're going to have, we hope to have Lee as a first guest. We hope to have Julio at one point. We hope to have Joe. These are all of our friends that we play with online. These are dear friends of ours who we get along with great, and we have great relationships with. And we want to introduce these people to our listeners. And we really hope that the Freelancer Radio community follows us on this journey, because we really want to put out a great product. And I hate using that word product. It sounds so commercial. But we really want to put out a great podcast for you folks. Content. That's another one that sounds so commercial now. I put great content. But we want to put out a solid podcast for you folks. And you're gonna hear more about it. I'm gonna put out stuff on the Freelancer Radio Twitter. We'll be creating a new Twitter, so you folks can follow us on there. But shortly, we're gonna ratchet it up, and we're gonna get something going. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on what your expectations are of what we'll be doing next.
My only thought on this is that no matter what we do, no matter how things get, because we know that schedule is one of the things that basically can kill a podcast right out of the water. What I only hope for this is that no matter what we do, that we still remain friends at the end. Because you guys are, my buddies, and you guys have been with me for the past 5 years. And it's, for me, it's like, and I know this is gonna sound corny as hell, but my time with Destiny has been like my time in middle school and high school. Playing with a group of friends that I have been enjoying for the past 5 years, and we seeing each other every single day or every other day. And we just have fun and we just enjoy our company. And I don't want that to end because we got into some beef or some discussion because of how the show was going on. So that's my only hopes for the show. Other than that, I want to say that I wouldn't mind having certain people back into the show, and just having a good time with it. We're at the end of the day, we're talking about video games. We're talking about a hobby that we enjoy and that we have fun with. And yeah, it's not a bubble that's away from other things that may happen in the real life. Because everything's at the end of the day is interconnected with each other. It's not like it's in faraway island where nothing happens outside of that bubble. So things will be added. So the format may change a little bit, but we're gonna keep it fun. And at the end of the day, my hope is that our listeners will be able to learn something out of this. Take something away from the podcast that they makes them feel that they become better persons. Because when I listen to Giant Bombcast, when I listen to the old Podcast Beyond, and when I listen to like the first
the old Podcast Beyond, none of that Jonathan Dornbush crap.
No, the old Podcast Beyond, every single time I listen to those episodes and those podcasts, I always came up out of those podcasts with something new that I never knew before, or changed my point of view of certain aspects of video games that I didn't think at that time. And it made me wiser. It made me a better person overall. And I feel like that's what I want to give to the community and to our listeners, like that every single time you listen to our podcast, that you feel like you become a better person overall, whether it's through video games, whether it's through sports, whether it's whatever, topic we have at hand, that's what I'm hoping for.
And I mean, with this new show and this new format, we're literally going to be talking about everything. Nothing will be off limits. We're going to talk about anything and everything. I mean, there's a topic that I want to talk about. Like, think of corns on feet, right? And then like you shave them off, right? And then it sort of looks like Parmesan cheese. Could you use the corn on feet as a topping for a salad?
No.
These are topics. These are topics that we can have.
No.
This is a
we have
great
discussed
topic.
This.
The grading on the feet, it looks like
we have
Parmesan.
discussed this. We are not talking about Red and Link's BS like you did with that. No, we're not doing that. Okay, anything but that. Okay, so no. Look at this, guys. Look at Lee. Like, what the hell is he talking about? Look at Andrew and Justin. They're like, no, brother, why are you doing that crap? So you have killed it. You have killed it, man.
Well, you know what? I think this is the final time. We're gonna wrap it up right now. That's all the time we have for today. And for the final time, we're going to suit up and hit the high road. Strong alone, stronger together. Freelancers,
Roll out.
Wow.